Great.
And we are live. Morning, guys. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. I forget it's Sunday. Yeah, happy Sunday. I'm really happy. Are you happy today?
I am. I am. I got a really good restful sleep, so I think that makes me happy.
Oh
I
yeah.
can feel like my voice being raspy, and I'm like, okay, let's go back.
Oh right. Yeah, it was like I needed to rest for like quite a few days, like a couple of days since Friday. I just kind of hermited up because my body needed to just relax, right?
That's good.
So yeah, well, you know what? Like somebody asked me yesterday, well, how do you rejuvenate? And I go, well, I shut the fuck everything down.
Oh, yeah, that's
I've
good.
lost business. I've lost business because of it, but I venture to be open 24/7 sometimes. And so I have to be very right. I have to be very ready.
I it,
Not be
it's
ready.
I have a question for you too with that. Even though the topic is something different, is it hard for you to rest?
No.
Okay, that's
No. No, because I've learned how to manage my energy, right? And so I don't use a lot of my own energy. I use ambient energy when I'm doing field work, when I'm doing other kind of energetic work. When I'm doing my personal work, I use my energy, spirit energy, a lot of different connotations of energy so that way I could clear myself, things like that.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's something that I'm still learning, but this week I was tired and it was funny because I couldn't allow myself to rest. And then I think it was yesterday after like the cacao ceremony and the Krishna das and stuff like that, I think I felt more in my body. And yesterday it was like morning, I was like, you know what, like I'm gonna rest. And I took a little nap in the morning. Like I woke up, showered, did my thing, and then as I was like laying there, I was like literally talking to myself as like an adult almost, like, hey, it's okay to rest. Like,
Right.
hey, it's okay to lay down.
Yeah.
Like,
A lot of a lot of our higher consciousness came in and really self-soothed us from like maybe Friday on,
okay.
right? And that's really what it felt like. And it felt like we were being advised rather than a suggestion. Like, this is what you need to do
Yeah.
so that you feel better, so that
Yeah,
your body responds the way you'd like for it to. And I was like, oh, okay. So I did that.
that's good. Yeah, it
Mhm.
felt nice. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm, you know, like, how often do you do that for yourself? Do you do that a lot?
Like once a year.
Okay, we're on schedule. No problem, girl. Fuck that.
I'm learning to do
I've lost business because I've taken care of me. I've lost business because I've taken care of me, and I have to be okay with my choices.
yeah.
My choices are good.
Yeah, that's good. No, that's
They're my
good.
choices.
I mean,
They're
on
my
Tuesday, I randomly took the day off for the same reason, like, I need to take care of myself, like, I'm going through feelings. Yeah,
Oh yeah. Well,
so
it's Mercury retrograde right now. So if you think of retrograde as something that is technology based only, that's not exactly correct. What it is it's like any kind of air and thinking.
okay,
Okay. And what it's doing is a redo, a review, and a rejuvenate.
okay.
So you just got to pay attention. And if it tells you to re rest,
Rest.
you do that. That's right.
It
And
sounds
that's pretty
like
much how the energy is right now.
it sounds like
Yep.
it's a guide almost.
Oh man, the other day I started to have a thought, and the thought was out of character for me.
Mhm.
And I got curious and I followed the thought, and the thought got more negative and
Mm,
more negative and more negative and more negative. And was still the observer, but then I almost grabbed it and something just pulled it away from me.
oh, that's
I
good.
was I go, "Oh, wow, that's right. I don't have to think that way." All right, okay.
Oh, so it's like rather than you almost becoming enmeshed with the universe or higher source was like, "Nope, that's not yours."
Right.
Yeah.
Because I'm setting my energy field and I'm telling my energy field how I want it to behave. And it's doing exactly what I'm asking. And so it's
Okay.
being very supportive and I'm being supportive to it. So when it brings me something, right,
Yeah.
I transmute, transform, move along, whatever the heck happens, right? I
Yeah.
work with it.
Yeah.
So I learn all the time.
I love
Okay, well, let's read our question, okay? Because I'm so curious.
it.
Okay, and I don't even know, I could tell so many different ways because there's probably so many different ways that we came into spirituality, right?
Mhm. Oh, yeah,
And
definitely.
so we don't have a precedence on how we set the question. We said, what was the turning point that led you in the direction of your spirituality? So what was your turning point, Miss Narita?
I think my turning point was, hmm, two pops up. You know what it feels like? It feels like, and I think it's also kind of like lessons in life where it's like a spiral, where it's not like, just like how you said, it's not one thing, but it's a spiral, and then it's like, oh, it's this thing, and then it's that thing, and then it's this thing, and then it goes like up and up until you're in this like almost foundation of, oh yeah, like I've arrived, but yet there's more. But at least now I have a foundation, so
So we're starting from like when we're cognitive, right? When we actually make that choice and stay in that choice.
but you don't even know that you're making a choice. Right? I think the choice maybe comes when you've already set the foundation of, "Oh, like, this is what's led me to create this beautiful foundation, and now I want to choose it over and over again."
Okay,
But
but
then
what
again
was your turning point? What was your turning
then
point?
again, it's always a choice. Okay,
Like,
so the
yeah,
thing
there always is. There always is.
yeah.
Because we're gonna be in polarity, all right? So we're gonna have extremes, and so we're usually in our extreme contrast when we decide to try something different, and usually that's less materialistic and more spiritual. And
Yeah,
it is a flip. It's a flip your shit moment. So I
that's
just
true.
wanna know what your flip your shit moment was.
So mine was when I left a 5-year relationship, because just like how you said it literally felt like I left material over something spiritual, and I didn't know that it was spiritual at the time. I kept getting, like, this message, right, like, in my heart, and I didn't even know what it was at the time, to, like, seek solitude. And I was like, "What the heck is solitude? Like, I don't know what that is, like, how do I do that?" But yet it kept telling me, like, "You have to leave this relationship." And then it became so big where I did leave it. Yeah, and it was crazy too, because it's like, how do you tell we didn't have, like, major problems, but it's like, how do you tell somebody that you've had a good relationship or that's, like, a kind person, like, "Hey, it's time for me to leave this relationship." There's nothing wrong.
There's nothing wrong. I'm just out.
Yeah, exactly.
So what happened after that? So after you leave the relationship, how do you start like what solitude do you find?
So it was, like, a journey, but I found, like, a lot of external solitude. So I like to define it, like, 2 different ways, like, external and internal, and when I left him, I found external solitude where I was, like, challenging myself to go on a date by myself, to the bar, to the restaurant. Like, that same week, I ended up buying tickets to go to Cancun by myself, like, traveling. So there's a lot of just, like, doing stuff on my own. And I became really good even now, right? It's like, "Oh, like, I can do stuff by myself." Like, it doesn't it's not fear it's so normal to me, right? But then at some point, like, I got in this other relationship, and then I was realizing, like, "Oh, but I don't know internal solitude," which was making myself for myself feel worthy or enough. Like, I still had to have somebody externally tell me that. And then that's, like, a whole other turning point too of, like, spirituality for me.
Yeah, I can, you know what? I would like for me, I would as I'm observing what you're talking about,
Uh-huh.
I'm really feeling like that's when you entered your spirituality. That's how we all enter our spirituality. We enter it because it's the unknown and we feel lost and we don't know what it fucking looks like. And it's not the same for anyone. And
Mm,
it is shattering.
mhm.
It is shattering when you first, oh. woo, like that, right?
Yeah.
And you are trying to pick up bits and pieces that you know don't work any fucking more,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and it is
And
scary because it's like nobody has a blueprint for it, especially your community at the time when you're making these transitions is nowhere near that.
oh yeah,
Like, they're going against the grain
people,
almost.
places, and things, man, they all fucking change.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, but when you're going through that journey, sometimes it feels alone because of it.
Well, it is alone. It's your first understanding of mortality, I think.
Like an ego death.
Yeah, because you've been on self-will for so long.
Or like, okay.
That would be probably the first time, is like when you surrender and you
Yeah.
don't have to fight anymore.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yes.
it
Surrender popped up a lot this week.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because that happened the second time when I got into this another relationship. I almost got married, but that's, I think, like, the biggest surrendering too, because I was starting to get depressed and I didn't wanna be alive, and I had these thoughts that, like, I've never had before, and I remember praying about it, like, "I don't know what to do, like, please help me." Like, I know that the thoughts that I'm having are not normal. Yeah, huge
They're not
action.
well, you know what? Let's call them normal because everybody has them occasionally, but let's say they're unwanted.
Yeah, they're unwanted. You're right, yes. They are normal, but they're unwanted. Yeah, they make you feel a certain way, right? They make you
Yeah,
not wanna
well,
be alive.
oh, yeah, well, those thoughts show us our deepest capabilities, all right?
Mhm.
And when we learn the depth of our capability, it illuminates a lot of our shadow, right? So when it illuminates our shadow, if we could sit with it and understand that we have that capability, we can accept ourselves at a greater experience, right? And
Mhm.
just shifting around words instead of making them feel so damning, right? Because they
Mhm.
don't have to feel damning. Your story doesn't have to feel damning, like shame on you,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And then you break apart your experience and you look at it as an observer, and it helps because it allows you to understand that you're capable of whatever you find horrendous,
Yeah.
and you're capable of any trauma that's been done. And those are the ugly parts that we don't like to look at inside of us. And it isn't because we would never, all
Mhm.
right? It's because we know we could. And we will shame ourselves into being quiet. But
Yeah.
that's a big truth for us, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Now I have the same question for you, Lucinda. What was it doing
Okay.
that led you in the direction of your spirituality?
Did you hear my neck crack? Did you hear my neck crack? Okay. But we didn't finish with you yet because you talked about almost getting married, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
And so the first endeavor into spirituality, like when you start to get to know yourself, how old were you? Like after you left that one relationship? I So for me, the reason I ask age is because I look at planets and their movement and like different hormone drops and things like that happen to us
Oh,
because it's super justified, and it lets me know that it's very normal. It's very average. It's very average for us to have the experience that we're in. It's
okay.
very average.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what I ask. And so I look at evolutions of us through our hormonal stages, right? And when
Mm,
I'm young, I know that if I'm prepubescent, right, I'm in a different set of hormones and I'm all absorption. And
okay.
when I go pubescent to like 27, I'm in a different set of hormones.
That's
And
true.
27,
That is so true.
and
Yeah.
27 can extend to 33. And then by 33, I'm determined. That's a different set of hormones. And I'm wrapping up whatever took place beforehand. And I'm only taking with me whatever I feel like. And I'm going to put that in front of me and I'm going to make that happen.
Mm.
Then may get tired. My hormones are going to change again. I'm going to turn into some crone. and it's around 60 or so, right? 60, 63. And I'm going to look back at those 2 generations of evolution that I experienced, and I'm going to know shit. I'm going to know shit. And I'm not going to like all the shit I know
You're
because
not
it's all me. No, 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 no. That's why so many people that are my age don't like to talk to younger people because they have to be accountable to who they fucking are.
Oh. Oh, interesting. I just had like a moment. Like, wow, I never thought about that.
fuck, fuck, we're like, fuck that shit. We're not gonna fucking, you owe us. That's like what a lot of that bullshit is. And it isn't true. It's not true. You don't owe anybody anything. Nobody does.
But it's interesting though, because it does make you, in a way, being older, talking to somebody that's younger in that reflective mindset nonetheless.
Well,
It
when
makes
you get into the reflective mindset, you're finding your spirituality, you're opening up to your truths, you're investigating your childhood traumas, and you're seeing where your behavior came from. That's when you become reflective, okay? And that's a deep fucking dive. That's a deep fucking dive. And not a lot of people start it early.
okay.
Not a lot of people start it early. They start it
What
late. So
what would be the
they've
other
been the authority. They've been the authority in the conversation, basically.
okay.
And
Okay.
so when you come, they want to be the teacher, the authority still. So if you challenge them on their whys,
Mhm.
okay, they're like, but I said so.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and they're still like, "No, but I wanna know why."
Well, why? Why do you need to know why? You're here now. You're good now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
So
those are my mom vibes.
that's it. Those are mom vibes right there. Those are mom vibes that can't be bothered because they got shit to accomplish.
Yeah.
Yeah, and God bless those moms if they ever pull their head out of their ass, because I finally did, you know.
What do you
It
mean?
worked well. Oh gosh. Well, realizations come, right? Like
Okay.
you get slapped in the face with reality. And
Yeah.
the reality is that your kids want you to get to know them and you want to get to know your kids, yet you lack love for yourself.
Mhm.
So you don't know how to go about doing that because you haven't worked on yourself, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So working on yourself. Right. Exactly. Exactly. Great comment, Allison. Great comment. My biggest trigger is when older people say, what a baby. Let's see.
Oh, nice.
You like that?
Mhm.
A baby to me is an infant unable to make decisions, unable to drive, eat, etc. I dread talking to some of the elderly people as soon as they call me a baby. Oh, yeah.
Mm.
Well, mostly they want to stay in their authority. That's why they say it. That's why they say it. And usually they're losing their authority as they age.
Or control, right? Maybe at some point?
Their authority
Okay.
because because usually because if they say so, it happens. It's always been that way, right?
Mm.
And
But now
that's
they're older.
authority. And of course it is like wanting to control situations and all of that as well. It's multitude of things, right? It's not
Uh-huh.
just one thing. But I would say that mostly they want to stay in their authority so that way they don't lose um their right to drive. Do you get it?
I would think too that at some point it's like part of their identity, right? Like this
Yes.
authoritative
Yes.
persona, it's like you've wrapped decades of your identity into that role, but it's like now you're hitting a certain age and the authority is not working anymore, but it's like, oh, who are you without the authority energy?
Exactly.
So I can imagine it just yeah, and I think that's the part where they're either forced to reflect,
Right.
right?
And so
For
they
the
don't
first
want to.
time.
So resistance comes out as
Yeah.
remaining in authority. And that's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah. To answer your question, when I left that 5-year relationship, I was 20, I wanna say I was 22, and then we were together since I was 17, and then when I almost got married and backed out, I was 24.
Okay.
24, 23. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. And so what happened after what made the decision? I'm curious
Mhm.
as to what was going on internally for you. What was coming up for you? The words were detrimental to you and you didn't like them and you couldn't let go of them at the time, right?
Yeah. When I almost got married?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, I thought about this so much because when I left the relationship, I was like, "What the fuck just happened?" It felt like I was in this dark hole and then I got out and I was super reflective, but the thoughts that I was having was that I was so, wrapped around how people looked at me, where now I'm in this relationship, now I can't back out. What are they gonna say? Like, now, like, we're engaged. Crap, is this family gonna think that I'm a biatch?
Oh,
Uh,
right.
and, like, the stuff
Mm.
like that, like, are they gonna think that I'm mean? Like, is he gonna have a bad perspective of me if I leave him? And looking back, it's crazy because it's like, how much weight did I add to, like, a family that they were like strangers to me to impact my own internal well-being?
Oh, I see. Because like they didn't really even know you. You were his girlfriend.
Yeah, and all of that happened within a year of, like, friends to dating to almost getting married.
Oh,
So, of
you're
course
a really cool person.
right? Like, how
I love
egotistical
it.
for me to think that I was also, like, the center.
It's okay. Okay.
But I think
That's
it's
good. That's
normal.
perfect. Yeah.
Going back to what you were saying, it's like, now that I'm older and I look back, it's like, I think that's normal. Like, I think a lot of people not a lot I think a lot of people are in situations like that, and they actually do follow through with a marriage.
Right,
And
because we have that that thing inside of us that we learn in school how to sit still.
yeah, and be a kind person,
Mhm.
like, say yes.
Do the right thing.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly.
This is how life works.
Yeah, it's like married, of course, like, marriage, yeah, why not?
I guess the timing's right.
Yeah, I'm almost 25, everybody else is, like, getting married.
Okay, okay, okay. All right. So
So
for me, yeah, okay. So I I had a spiritual connection all of my life for interesting reasons. Like I talk to God all the time, and it started when I was, um, well, when I was really young, and so I just had God, and I could talk to um, him or her or it or them. It was always they. It always felt like they, right? It felt like very. It felt like all that is. So I've had an understanding of my spiritual nature since I've been a child, but I didn't seek spirituality at all.
Mhm.
I saw it like, structures that said that that was spirituality at first. And so that worked out. And then what ended up happening is that I was 18 and I got pregnant.
Mm,
And the boy at the time or the guy at the time, um, I I didn't really like him, but I liked him, but I was afraid to let anybody like me because
mhm,
I was still wrapped up in all the trauma that I had had. So I decided I was just going to have the baby and not tell him. And all my friends convinced me that I needed to tell him. And when I told him, he said something to me that was like profound. I'm 18 years old and it's
mhm.
profound. So keep that in mind. He says, "Well, I guess we better get married." And I go, whoa, because all I thought he was going to tell me was, you should have an abortion. It's not mine, blah, blah, blah. And that's not what he said. All of a sudden, I pictured like a white picket fence. And
It
four
make you
months,
feel special.
4 months later, we were married.
Okay.
And then 11 years later, we were divorced. But he is who I walked through one of the hardest things in my life with, and that was the passing of that child. So,
Mhm.
and so I would say that that was probably a direct prompt into seeking why, why anything.
Yeah.
And I used to get really morbid, and I did a lot of poetry. All right, because poetry is my giddy up. I love poetry. I love
Mhm.
poetry. I'm really good at it. And so I just started to write poetry again a lot.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that was probably one of the biggest turning points for me. But I was also like you said, you were taking yourself out on dates and going on vacations and stuff like that because you thought that it was external at first.
Mhm.
I too started external. That's what put me on the road to hell.
Mm.
That's where my toolbox was.
Yeah, yeah.
I knew how to be a hellion. I knew how to be a hellion because that was like my ease, my comfort, my yeah, here we go. I know what I'm doing, that sort of thing. And I felt untouchable there.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
when I was untouchable, I was like, woo, I'm good. And I could do any fucking thing I wanted.
It's so funny because it does feel a little bit like that where you're untouchable and then it feels like the universe is like, "Actually."
Thank you, Chelly. Yes. Or yeah, Chelly, I think. Okay. I hope I'm not murdering your name. Yeah. So
Mm.
the the turning point was like after all the because those are the tools that you walk into the next adversity with, the ones that you got. And if you haven't developed any kind of tools, life skills or lifestyle changes, you're going
Yeah.
to keep walking that same path because that's where your loop is. You have your loop and your loop is going to be there. And I did a lot of really deep healing, right? Over Shaylee. Thank you very much. Because they kept shh. And I go, okay, don't say it. Right on. I thought they were just shushing me. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So like do you want to speak to that? Like that was like my turning point. That let me know that there was something more. And then I finally stopped what I was doing that was very detrimental. And that was that time that I was telling you, I was in really deep contrast. And I was in a space where if that was my life, I didn't want my life anymore.
Mm.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was like, I, that was that total surrender. And
Yeah.
that total surrender brought me here.
Mm.
That total surrender brought me here. And it was life changing, life changing. So I was able to do like a shit ton of healing through that.
Is
So
there
almost 20 years of that shit.
well, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
is there any sort of gratitude with what you've experienced from when you were 18 to those, like, 11 years to, like, who
Oh,
you are now?
shit, yeah, because I learned so much. I'm not negating my 11-year relationship. I have a lot that I processed in there, but, like, I
Yeah.
don't discuss that, not even with my kids, because, like, we have a shit ton of stuff that was, by other people's standards, maybe not normal,
Okay.
average, but we both came from a space that was not by today's standards average or normal or what is desired. Okay. We
Yeah.
came from spaces that were very lack filled, would be how I would put it now. And so we taught our children what we thought was a different version of that. And they're great. All the kids are great. So they're not lack filled or anything like that. They're awesome. But they had a rough life, and they had to learn for themselves how to
Yeah.
get where they are now. And they're really good. But I didn't have the skills necessary. Neither did their dad at the time, not with our upbringing. And we had
Yeah.
a love. We had a lot of love for the kids, like
Mm.
a lot of love for the kids. But it's always a constant reminder,
Yeah.
when there's shenanigans afoot, that's like maybe not how you want to live.
Yeah. But even then, it's, like, good for you and him also for trying your best to change the way you guys raised your children, that it wasn't the way that both of you guys were raised.
We sat down. So something that I was really grateful for with him was that we sat down like while we were pregnant with Brianna.
Uh-huh.
And it was something that we didn't do when we were pregnant with Jillian. And we had lost Jillian. She was 2.5 years old, or well, 2 years and a couple weeks old. So 2 years and 2 weeks. And we waited another like 2 years before we got pregnant. We came to God. We found God. So we got like this enormous healing, which was really good. We ended up in a very spirit filled, like Holy Spirit filled church. That's all I can say. And I'm really grateful,
Mm.
you know, I'm really grateful for that. So
Yeah.
that provided a lot of healing. And then that allowed us to go ahead and and have 3 kids together. So we had 3 kids together, and those were not bad years. Those were not bad years. Those first 3 years like that, 3 and 4 years. And then it just got difficult. The economy was difficult. Everything was difficult. He went into the military to, save us. And the military isn't very supportive of housewives. And, it's just kind of like, no, we own them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that makes it very difficult, especially when you're all by yourself, right?
And when you have kids
And
too.
you're a lot by yourself. You're a lot by yourself. It's not a small amount that you're by yourself, right? You're a lot by yourself. And then yeah, so just stuff like that. So yeah, so 11
Yeah.
years is a lot to unpack right here. I don't think it's necessary. But yeah.
Yeah, but thank you for sharing though, because
When I was 27, I was in that relationship. And that's when it started to really twist up, right? And by 30, I was wanting out of that relationship. So from 18 to 30, right? 29, right around there, I was filing for separation and doing my best to get out of the relationship. And I wasn't nice about it. I wasn't nice about it because I've been hurt. So I wasn't a good person. I was not a good person. I was not a kind person, compassionate person. I was a mean, spiteful, ugly person at that time. And I did everything in my power to get people on my side so that way people would understand why I was doing what I was doing. And it was hard. It was hard.
yeah.
Yeah. So I could have done a lot better, but I was mostly in fear. Mostly in fear.
And that's okay too. Like I feel like there's a lot of strength with like looking back and recognizing it, right? Because kind of like the whole parent thing, I feel like there's both where you can look back and be like, oh yeah, like that was not okay, but there's also so much compassion because you're aware of it too. It's just where you were at.
Oh yeah. Well, I can see where I'm at now. And I know that he's working on himself, doing what he needs to do, and I'm working on myself, doing what I need to do.
Yeah.
And We don't have regular conversations, but we don't slam each other anymore that I'm aware of. I don't anyway. I don't really care.
Yeah.
I have deep love for this man.
Yeah.
Deep love, and finally when I gave myself permission to love him, right? Unconditionally, everything fell into place because the resistance that I felt in not loving him was what held me back from loving myself, because I kept telling myself that I'd made a mistake, that I was a wrong person, that this had happened and all of that, right? And once I allowed myself to love him beyond, right? Not necessarily accept all his fucking behavior. Don't get me all fucking twisted, okay? But to
Ooh,
get to that place, all right? Because there's shit,
that
and I'm
is
okay.
so powerful though. I just want to
It's
say it like one more, like I would love for you to say it, or for us to say that one more time, where the moment that we can love that person,
unconditionally,
really,
unconditionally.
you
That means
also
work through all your shit involved with them.
it's like
Yes,
you release the chains that stop you from loving yourself.
exactly, because that's the reason you don't love yourself, is because you're not giving yourself permission to have had these loves, these intense,
Yeah.
deep feeling loves, because they're all versions of love for you. And we're meant to have polarity in our life. So we're going to have all the contrast, and we're going to pack love this way. And then we're going to have all the bliss, and we're going to pack love this way. And then we're going to travel the bar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So just stuff like that. But yeah, so that was like, and so he and I, we learned a shit ton, but we don't, you know, I don't have any desire to talk to him. He has no desire to talk to me. We don't look to like hash anything out because we already have.
Yeah, it's just like a content piece, like
Yeah. Yeah, and
so.
I'm open if he ever wants to, and he's
Yeah.
open if I ever want to, and neither one of us have a desire to. And it's not because there's so much shit there anymore. It's
Yeah.
because now
Yeah.
we're dealing with our own shit.
Yeah.
That's the difference. And when we become the center focus of our experience again, right?
Mhm.
Because we're the ones having our experience. So when we become our center focus of our experience again, that allows us to recalibrate, find out what's important to us, right? And
Yeah.
then move with that instead of
Yeah.
what's on tomorrow.
Or
Fuck
tonight.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Lucinda.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of us at about that age is a bracket of 23, well, it's a bracket of like 27 to 33. And that is a Saturn return, a nice little block of bullshit for everybody. And it's everybody, it's indiscriminate. It doesn't give a fuck. So it's for everybody. Everybody gets a slice of that motherfucking pie. At least twice in their, at least twice in their
Oh, there
lifetime.
you go. There you go. Oh,
That's right. It does not discriminate, quite like addiction.
say it again.
It does not discriminate, quite like addiction.
Oh man,
Oh yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah,
man.
hell yeah. It's very indiscriminate. So when you learn that those are like a lot of the energies that you're working with, and you know what, we're all making it up. We're all making it up, right?
Yeah.
We're all making it up. But you have like the 27 club for musicians and actors that die, right? And
Mhm.
42 is another number, all right?
Yeah.
And you have to wonder about like, what is that? Like, what is that? And
What is
those
it?
are planetary alignments
Wow.
that they
I've
can't.
always thought about that too. I've seen like just like the conspiracy part of it, right?
Mhm.
But it's like, what is that? Yeah. Yeah.
Hi,
This is
honey.
there's really, really good. There's as you're sharing, or as you have shared, it's making me kind of feel in this space of like, whoa. But like there's not much to say, but just in that space of like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like I
What,
wish
you're
I could give you a
satisfied?
hug.
Are you satisfied? Are you
No,
satisfied?
no, definitely, no, I think there's a space of like, "Oh, like, I wish I was next to you so I can give you, like, a big hug and just
Oh.
embrace you or embrace, like, our time together with
Mhm.
silence and a hug."
Oh, I love you. I love you, Narita. I love us so much.
I love
Thank
you too.
you so much for the space. You know, when you suggest topics, I always think to myself, I go, well, okay, buckle up, bitch. It's never, it's never buckle up, buttercup.
I love it.
So another 27 years is the next average plus 6. 6 is the waiver because it goes into retrograde. So Saturn Saturn is like, let's see. So that's like 52 to like 58, and that's usually when that's when you lose your identity.
Wait, what age? Say it again?
Like, yeah, okay, let me just got to give it right so that way I'm good.
Thank you guys for also being here and commenting. We see the
54,
comments
so
outside.
54 to 60, 54 to 60. All right.
Okay.
And it's hormonally challenging as well.
Wow.
Oh,
54 to 6.
yes. Yes. You absolutely lose your shit. I love it. I
Oh,
enjoyed it. I enjoyed it because that was what really put me into my spirituality. I was like, fuck this shit. This world fucking sucks. I'm
yeah.
out. I'm gonna go do something else.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I share with people, like, about change because I know change could be scary and the whole reflection and, like, the identity part. And something that I always share is, like, like, you're always changing, and as you're saying this stuff, there's so much truth where not just what happens in our lives, like, externally, but also universe stuff, hormonal stuff. Like, every year is different, every decade is different. It's like, of course, there's gonna be change. Like, it most likely hurts because there's so much resistance on your side,
Oh, yeah, that's why it all hurts.
right? But it's like, well, what
Nobody
happens
wants to go through the perception of pain again. Fuck
but
that shit.
yeah. But then again, it's like if we create it, like, pain's not really there.
Here we go. I just turned 40 and it makes me sad as fuck to even think about being here for another 14 to 54 and I'm here until 92. Well, if you're sad, girl, that's a choice. I'm gonna tell you straight, all right? That's a fucking choice.
Mm,
Okay? And I challenge you to make a different choice. Because if you don't like what you got, change it. If you
yeah,
don't like what you got, change it. That's what this is all about. We're showing you that there is change, that you can do it, and you have to go internal. So if you're sad, right? Like you have posted about your child passing. Okay. All right.
and I'm sure this could relate to anybody at any age where
Exactly.
you're sad.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right. Here we are. Okay. The fact that you guys made it first from being so young with losing a child for 11 years is amazing. I also have a beautiful firstborn, Skylar, who's in heaven. Right. And
Mhm.
when you go through that, you go through that for the rest of your fucking life.
Mhm.
Okay, Shaylee? You go through it for the rest of your fucking life because it's with you. It's part of you. You don't go through it, you move with it. It becomes you. You allow yourself to be you. You allow yourself to be sad when you're sad. You allow yourself to be whoever you are in that moment because that's you. And the more acceptance you can create about that, the better. So I'm going to share a little story. May I share a story, Narita?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. I know we're kind of long today, so I just want to
Oh,
make sure.
you're good. I have time. Mhm.
Okay. So my daughter, Brianna, she's my second born child, but oldest. Well,
Mhm.
oldest living child. All right. And our firstborn was a daughter. And so she's maybe, let's see, 79, 4 years older than Brianna. Okay. And Brianna decided that she was going to go into psychology-based therapies. So she did that, and then she ended up going to Loma Linda University for her master's. All right. Loma Linda University is where Jillian was when she died. All right. And I still remembered like that whole trip. They told us, go home, get some rest. We lived in Banning. We were driving this Plymouth Brown Duster that looked like it had driven 100 miles an hour backwards into a telephone pole. All right. And it was fast as fuck, which was really nice. But they called us almost immediately when we got back from our phone was ringing when I opened the door, and they told us we had to come back. So we came back, and as we're driving, there was this bank clock, and the bank clock said 1:23. And I knew in that moment that she had passed. I knew that she was gone. I knew she wasn't there anymore in that moment right then. And I was just like, whew, so deflated. And then Jimmy and I had a really interesting experience. He and I got into, because at the time they were the slowest elevators ever. So we got into the elevators, and we were going to the 6th floor, and about the 4th floor, a chaplain gets in, and he starts to explain that he has to go to the 6th floor, and he's really distraught because he has to break the news to this family that their child is dead, that their child has passed. And I'm like, we're standing there in this elevator, and we're consoling him, knowing damn good and well it's our child. And we're telling him it's okay, it'll be all right. Wow. We get out, and the nurses are there because, man, she was love. She was love. And they start to tell us that they're sorry. And I go, I just want to see her. So I get to go in and have my moment with her. And then after that, we just console the nurses, we go about our business. And then that was that experience. So Brianna, our next born child, right? Decided to go into psychological therapies, and she gets her master's at Loma Linda University. So fuck, here we go. So I'm driving up there, and we're all going as a family, and we're in a big SUV. Edwin, her husband, is driving, and I'm in the front seat because I guess I have privilege. And then it shows the fuck up everywhere. Okay, so then I know it's because it's me. I got it. Everybody else is in the back. They're in back of me, so they don't know. But as we're driving and we're getting closer and we're closer, we're going to her hooding ceremony. So this isn't the only time that we're going up there. This is the first time. This is the first time that I have been back since that day. Okay. All of a sudden, I'm having God tears. I'm just having God tears, God tears, God tears, God tears, God tears, God tears, and I can't stop them. And people are asking me questions in the fucking car, and I'm just like, yeah, this looks really familiar. Yeah, it's very beautiful. It's a beautiful campus. It's a loving campus. Yes, it's really, really nice. And I'm just trying. So we finally get to where we park, and I go, oh, okay, fine. And I wipe all the God tears away, and I think I got this. Well, they have the hooding ceremony in the chapel. In the chapel where we spent a lot of fucking time praying for Jill. Oh my goodness. So I'm in there, and I'm with the grandkids. I'm with the grandkids because they're going to see their mom and all this is great. And I'm like, you know what? This is Brianna's day, and I want it to be Brianna's day. It
Mm.
can't be anybody else's day, but Brianna's day. That's the best way I can honor her. So I excuse myself and I go to the bathroom, okay, before I end up like this, right? And I close the door and I sit down on the toilet. I don't need to go to the bathroom. I'm just sitting there and I'm like, the door bursts open. It is my 40-year-old or 38-year-old daughter, not Brianna, Jillian, in a Chanel pencil dress with a bolero. She looks absolutely adorable. And she's dabbing my face with all this fucking toilet paper going, stop, Mom, you're going to ruin your makeup. You're going to ruin your makeup.
Oh.
Laughing because I'm not wearing any fucking makeup. And she has a conversation with me. And she says, how do you think she got here?
Wow.
So next day, because like I pull it together and everything's golden then, right? So the next day is her graduation and we're all across the street on the big field and everything. And at the end, I decide that I'm going to ride with Brianna.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Everything comes full circle if you allow it. I will tell you that. And healings can be complete if you allow them. Okay. So I start to walk up the hill with Brianna and everybody who's going to ride in her car because we're going to go have a meal and shit like that. And we're going to celebrate her. And I'm feeling super buoyant because I'm so good. I'm so fucking good. And when we get to her car is parked directly across the street from the bank clock. Downhill instead of uphill. And it's so poignant to me about my life now. And it's such a beautiful moment that I can allow it because I realize it's okay. It's okay for me. It's okay for me now. Everything's okay. Everything's okay. So, Shaylee, you're going to come into that. All right. Maybe not right now. You're really fucking young, girl. You're really fucking young. 40 is a blasphemous time, just to let you know. And, you know, just shit. Okay. And you need to understand that any death that you've had inside of anything you've experienced, right, is a transformative moment for you that allows you to become you more. All right. Any kind of death. It doesn't matter if it's actual or if it is internal. All right. Because it is an understanding that you're still not alone. And I'm not. And through that sort of healing, I've been able to help myself heal and help myself heal from my mom dying when I was 5, help my dad heal from my dad, everything. And they're all on the other fucking side. So that gave me, ease because I understood that we're all together anyway. So I spend a lot of time in consciousness understanding that. And that is why. That's why. Let's see. As I'm trying. The nailing coffin. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, fuck yeah. That's a shit ton of fucking pain. That's a shit ton of fucking pain. Yeah. And the only thing you're going to be able to do is do exactly what I just fucking did. Exactly what I just fucking did. Sit in the motherfucking pain, tell the fucking story, let the charge go down. Yeah. That's how you heal. That's how you heal. You don't heal through pills. You don't heal through alcohol.
You
If you
can't heal through anything externally.
No, it's internal. You have to give
It
yourself
could be a very
permission to be you.
Yeah, it could be a very good moment high, but it's gonna come back. It will always come back.
Right. Yeah. Here we go. Well, we don't really have time for that right now, but you should reach out to me, Shaylee, because like I'm Body Studios and we do shit like that here. All right? Because like if you're good, I wouldn't mind, but not that right now. That's too much right now. And maybe she's coming through for you. You know, you got to understand that not all messages go to other people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. That's so sweet.
What a sweetheart. Thank you, Shaylee. You guys, are we good with that? Do you think?
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody asked me one time if I could, if I noticed something in my life, like do things come full circle? And I started looking at all the rings that kept closing to where I had satisfaction, and I saw all the work that I had been doing all along, external, internal. It was all part of it. It was all part of it. And I was like, oh, I get it now. I can be, I can be, I can be. I've had so much sadness in my life, and I've had created so much sadness in my life. And I have a choice now to where like I can create happiness,
Mm.
right? I
Yeah.
can create happiness. And it isn't from adversity. It's a choice now because I know what adversity feels like. I know what that charge feels like, and I can sit in it anytime I need to. Anytime I need to, because I have to heal. I need to heal.
Yeah.
I love you so much.
I love you too. Air hug. So tight. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for sharing today, Lucinda.
You're very welcome. I love you very much, Narita. Thank you for sharing. That was beautiful. Thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for your intimacy.
Likewise.
Intimacy.
Both ways, right? You
Yes.
meet each other together.
All right, you guys, you have a great day, and I'll see you later tonight if you tune in.
Okay. Bye.